And I'll introduce Robbie. It'll just take another moment. Go vegan. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is day 6 of Mastering Diabetes. We guys, that's wonderful guests, wonderful cooking demos all week. If you haven't seen the previous 5 shows, I'd really encourage you to go back right here on this YouTube channel to watch them. They are fantastic. It's everything you need to know to master diabetes or just prevent it in the first place as being discovered this week. So before I introduce today's guest, I'd like to introduce the person who's going to introduce her, and he is the co-founder of Mastering Diabetes, as well as being, where did I put that book, as well as being the co-author of the New York Times best-selling book, Mastering Diabetes, Robbie Barbero.
Chef AJ, thank you so much for having us. This week has been so much fun, and I feel like we're just getting started. I can't wait for everybody to meet another one of our coaches. So you're going to meet Michelle today. And I love that you're allowing us to be in the kitchen, have our team showcasing the food. Like, we are in such alignment with what you teach. It's just fantastic. So Michelle is a recent addition to our coaching team, and it's really fun for us to bring in people that are living this lifestyle. I think that's important in the coaching process. So Michelle has had a lot of experience herself. She's going to share some of the stuff that she's overcome. Can make some amazing recipes with you today. But she wrote her own book called Never Be Fat Again. She has worked with clients living with pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes for many, many years through her own health coaching practice. So it's just a lot of fun to have her on board. And I think you guys are really going to learn a lot. And I know it's going to be a jam-packed show. I think what do you have, 3 recipes, Michelle?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. 3 recipes. And ask questions in the chat box, be active, and let's have some fun.
Great. Thanks, Robbie. So nice to meet you, Michelle. I didn't realize you wrote a book. I love the title, Never Be Fat Again. How do we never be fat again?
We never be fat again when we stop focusing on calories and diets, and we change our lifestyle to whole food, plant-based, low fat.
That's what worked for me and so many others. Do you have a weight loss story yourself, or is this just something you've been interested in?
I dieted from the time I was 13 till the time I was in my mid-30s when I started. That was over 2 decades ago when I started changing my life. And I have taken it one step at a time on the journey and had many defining moments. And you were one of them, actually. You're the one that got me started eating 2 pounds of non-starchy vegetables every day and weighing it faithfully, kept me at my goal easily, whereas prior to that, staying at my goal was a struggle. And I always reasoned when I read Dr. Furman, oh, I know I eat 2 pounds of vegetables a day. And then I started weighing them.
Well, they're so light that you don't realize, especially if you're doing leafy greens. I mean, people don't realize how much a pound really is often.
Exactly. So that changed my my history as just being simple. We eat 3 to 5 pounds of food a day. So having 2 pounds of non-starchy vegetables for those of us who like to eat, like me, is key. So
that's fantastic. So when did you start working with Mastering Diabetes? How did you come to do that?
Well, as you know, my health journey has been going on for a couple decades. I worked at Hippocrates Health Institute in the early 2000s. I then moved to Oregon 12 years ago, and I started my own health coaching business here. And I taught people in my local community, whole food, plant-based, for years. Until then I started classes because I couldn't take any more clients. I was loaded, we were booming, but I didn't like managing a business. I wanted to just work with the clients. And the opportunity came up for me to interview with Mastering Diabetes earlier this year. And I jumped at that because I knew that my niche was working with diabetics, because I love how diabetes, and I've worked with mainly type 2 and pre-diabetes, responds to the whole food plant-based.
That's fantastic. So
Yeah.
you're going to be using all lentils, or not all lentils, but lentils are going to be predominant in all three recipes. Why are lentils so great for people in general, but specifically for people that want to lose weight and that have diabetes? Because there is something kind of magical about legumes, aren't there?
Yes. Oh, yes. Lentils are the king of legumes. I've heard them dubbed, and they're amazing. And there are so many different varieties. I have some of them here, Chef AJ. That's why I call this lentilful. I'm going to use 3 different varieties today. I'm going to be using these French green lentils. I'm going to be using black lentils. And I'm going to, I'm using the French green, the red, and these are green lentils. Even though people call them brown lentils all the time, these are really brown lentils. They're much smaller. And so I'm going to use 3 varieties of lentils today. We're going to make a red lentil curry. We're going to make a sprouted snack people love because they don't do chips anymore. And this is crunchy and seasoned. And we're going to make an amazing salad with mangoes, of course, because I work for Cyrus, the mango man. I think you have to like mangoes to be on our team. And so we're going to make a salad with the French lentils. But yes. So are you ready to get started on the red lentil curry?
Yeah, they're so pretty when you have them displayed like that.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I love real food because real food's amazingly beautiful. So, yes. So I have a pan heating over here, and I learned to dry saute about 3 years ago from Chef Ken Rubin when I went to the Plantrition Conference in San Diego. And he has Ruby. You may have heard of that. And he taught us how to dry saute. Prior to that, I always steam sauteed, but I love the depth of flavor you get. So I have heated this pan until I make sure it sizzles with a little dab of water. And then I'm just going to throw my onions in. They are peeled and chopped. And we just let them. Now, prior to Chef Ken teaching me, I would stir way too much. He made us all so nervous in that demo because he just let these sit here, and that's what I'm going to do. So while those are sitting there, just starting to get a depth of flavor, I am going to get my ginger and garlic. I have everything right here ready to go in. I love fresh ginger. Fresh ginger is so anti-inflammatory and healing. So coupling that with lentils, but I didn't get to finish telling you all the great things about lentils. They're great for diabetics in particular because lentils, in 1982, they did some science, some studies, and discovered that lentils are basically the king of holding blood glucose steady. They called it the lentil effect because when you eat lentils at one meal, up to 11 hours later, you have great blood sugar control, better than it otherwise would have been. So I just put some, we'll come back to lentils, but I put ginger into my little chopper, which is stained orange because I do turmeric in it so often. And I'm going to throw my garlic cloves in there too. And you'll notice the recipe says peel your ginger, but this is organic and sometimes I'm lazy. I am just gonna get that ginger ground up nicely so that when my onions, yes, they're still over here. Oh, they're smelling so good. I wish you could smell them. And the other great thing about lentils, Chef AJ, is people always tell me, oh, I can't afford to eat healthy. Well, guess what? Lentils are the poor man's beef. And they're pretty darn cheap. You can get a bag for about $1 if you're not going organic, but I buy 25-pound bags. And you can use them every way you used to use ground beef almost. So when I first went whole food plant-based, what did I do but get rid of all these recipes? I'm never going to make a meatloaf or all these things again. And then I had to get the recipes back from my sisters because I could. I make lentils. I use if cameraman will show us. the green variety here in place of beef. And you just cook them and mash them, and you can use them as a base for meatloaf, stuffed peppers, anything that you made beef with beef before. So I don't want to do all the yakking, but
I love the chopper you're using. I have a couple different companies that make that, and they're just such a time saver.
yes, they are. Yes, they are very helpful, and you know, I like things to be quick and easy, and so you'll see that throughout this. I like to batch prep, so I have stuff ready, and you'll see that today too. But my onions are still going here. You want to let them dry saute, no liquid needed, and you just let them go till they start to get a little brown around the edge. So we're still waiting on that. If we want to talk a little bit more about the lentils, you can use lentils in so many different ways. You can sprout them, and we're going to see that in one of our recipes today. And sprouting really helps a lot, because Robbie mentioned I had my own issues. I think I started healthy living because not only was I about 25 pounds overweight, but I felt lousy. I was so sugar addicted. I called it sugar addicted then, but we know it was sugar, salt, fat addicted. And I just had no energy. And so I started on my health journey, and along the way, I found out when I started studying nutrition voraciously, my original degree was in education. I taught school for years, and then I just couldn't believe how I changed my life with just getting rid of sugar. So that led me on in my nutrition studies and discovered that I thought my daughter might have celiac disease. They had never been able to diagnose her. She was a teenager, but had problems since she was an infant. And so we got her tested, and lo and behold, not only did she have celiac disease, but she had both the genes, which meant both my husband and I had passed along a gene for celiac disease to her. So they said the whole family should be tested. Well, I was really, I think, asymptomatic, but not, there were symptoms looking back. But I had terrible dysbiosis, and so I had all that to deal with on my journey. And it's been incredible, though. Whole plants rule. They're so amazing.
That's fantastic.
So, okay, our onions. Go ahead if you want to say something.
Oh, I just there was a comment I wanted to read to you. Let me just come on. My little screen froze for just a second. Well, just a couple of nice comments. Socorro says, I've really enjoyed the week with mastering diabetes, and I'm not even diabetic. And then somebody wrote that where did it go? That you've been their health, Rosali wrote, Michelle has been my nutrition coach for 4.5 years. I've learned so much. I love my food and health so much. And then I saw a question about how do you know, how do you weigh them, meaning your greens? And so I know I just usually buy the bag and it says the ounces on it.
Well, I have a little kitchen scale, cameraman, right over here. My handy dandy kitchen scale, which I'm gonna use in a minute. But our onions are ready to go, and I weigh my vegetables every day, just like Chef AJ taught me.
Okay. And because we learned this week that for diabetics, they actually do have to weigh and measure their carbs. That most of us don't, but somebody that's battling diabetes, at least that's what the teachers this week have discussed, that they need to know their carb to insulin ratio when they're injecting insulin.
Exactly. And it's very important for a person with type 1 diabetes and even type 2 diabetes to reverse insulin resistance. But for me, it was such a positive thing to think of weighing my food to make sure I had enough. It's not a limiting thing at all. It's a make sure you're eating enough. And for a foodie, that's great. Okay, so I am just going to come back to the pan here and add a little bit of water. If you'll zero in, you can see it's starting to sizzle now. Our onions are almost caramelizing, and this is the first we've stirred them. Isn't that cool? And we're going to add a cinnamon stick, and I love cardamom. And these spices bring a nutrition bang to the table too. And then we are going to add curry powder, and with it I have black pepper, and I realized I didn't write that on the recipe, but I always automatically put black pepper whenever I use turmeric. And then we've got some garam masala, and you can get different varieties of garam masala. You can get a real spicy one and one that's not as spicy. And we have coriander and cumin, a teaspoon of each. And so we're just going to mix all these spices. Now, I wish everybody watching could smell this. It is amazing. Oh, yes. All the spices.
Are there any particular spices that are particularly good for people with diabetes?
Well, we recommend all spices because, as Dr. Greger says, you get a nutrition bang, an antioxidant bang. Cinnamon's great. Oh, I forgot my ginger and my garlic. I got so busy talking. Cinnamon's great, but cumin's good. They all have their, and you know, turmeric is so anti-inflammatory, so that's wonderful. And inflammation drives almost all disease. Diabetes is no exception. So that's why the plant-based diet, that's one reason it's so helpful, and low-fat plant-based, because we know that fat is the driver of insulin resistance, not the carbs. So, all right, now that we've got that going, we're going to add 32 ounces of veggie broth. My veggie broth is in a jar. However, you can use store-bought veggie broth. I am going to put the 32 ounces in. The way I like to make veggie broth most, just let me quick show you. I keep a bag in my freezer, and I put my scraps in there as celery leaves, onion ends, carrot peels, things like that. And when I get 2 bags full, then I just put them in water with the bay leaf and extra onion and garlic and boil it and make my own veggie broth and freeze it. And then it's convenient, and you know you don't have all the sodium and additives, because a lot of times the low sodium broths, they hide MSG in there. So we don't want that. And so we're going to get that coming to a boil. We're going to add our celery, and we're going to add our sweet potatoes, which I have already cubed. If you'll look at my, you can make this recipe with yams or sweet potatoes of any variety. This one's a little large. So I have both in here just to show you that either way works. And so we're going to put these in and let this boil. And while it boils, I can tell you that one reason I love working with diabetics is because everybody sees results on a whole food plant-based diet, but diabetics have such incredible ability to see their results rather rapidly, because every day they can see their blood glucose number. I started with a new client last week, and her fasting glucose was 200, which is high. And she came back to her second session with me, a private coaching session, and her blood glucose was 111 in a week from 200 at Chef AJ. That's the power of plants.
It's amazing, you know, and so quickly, like you said.
Mm-hmm. So they get daily reinforcement that what they're doing is working. I also have a diabetic client that if she eats the littlest amount of fat, it tells on her the next morning. I mean, her morning blood fasting glucose shoots up. And so it just proves that it's true for her, you know, and that's so helpful.
That's what's, I mean, not that I would wish anybody be diabetic, but they get that immediate feedback because they can actually see what the result is from what they eat. Whereas most of us wait years and years to get some disease to find out.
Exactly, exactly. So I am going to let this just come to a boil, and then we're going to kind of watch and turn it down. But while that's happening, we're going to make the lentil crunchies. So I'm going to grab my other tray here.
I love anything with the word crunchy in it.
Oh, yes. And it's so much fun because this is actually, if you have a dehydrator where you can set your temperature to like 105, if you have a dehydrator that you can control the temperature, you can actually keep these raw. So let me tell you my process here. I soaked lentils just like this. I put a cup of lentils, as the recipe tells you, in some water to soak. These ones have soaked about 12 hours. But after they've soaked 12 hours, I put them out in a strainer. Can you see the sprout on there?
It's got like a little tail already.
Yes, So you just add an extra 12 to 18 hours and you can let them sprout. So you might say, well, why in the world do you want to let them sprout? Well, you double the antioxidant power in those lentils when you sprout them. Isn't that amazing? And not just double the antioxidant power. It's like lentils on steroids is how I like to call it. But you also make them far more digestible. For someone like me who suffered with a lot of gut issues from having undiagnosed celiac disease for probably most of my life, beans can be hard to digest. So it was really great to discover that I could sprout them and have a totally different result. So the other cool thing is when you sprout these, watch. You can just eat them. They're soft. They're delicious. I've had clients who like to just put them on their salad just like this. So that's pretty cool. But we're going to take these sprouted lentils and we're going to add a few liquid seasonings. The first is liquid smoke. We're going to put a teaspoon of liquid smoke. Now you have to be careful when you buy liquid smokes. Dr. Greger actually says if it makes you eat your vegetables, use it. But some of them have a lot of additives and have even sugar in them. This one is just pure liquid smoke. It's the Wright's brand. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of, you can add liquid aminos. Coconut aminos have way less sodium. We always should read the label. Just a fraction of the sodium, and we're putting a teaspoon of those. We're putting some liquid so our spices stick onto these lentil crunchies. And then we're going to add, I chose Lola's hot sauce. You've got to read labels. Some hot sauces are loaded with sodium. This particular one, though, has only, let's see, is it 5 or 6 milligrams of sodium? Anyways, it's very low for the amount. And, oopsie, this one's going to be a little bit spicy. That's okay, because my husband and I, we like the spice. So I'm going to mix those things in. If you don't like something spicy, you could use less of the hot sauce. And you can also vary your seasonings you add. So go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that is very low sodium. There's actually a brand of hot sauce called Brew Brothers that has no added salt whatsoever.
Oh, yes, I've had Brew before. Yes, and so this is nutritional yeast, and I heard Wendy tell you yesterday she liked to use an unfortified variety. Me too. I don't want to be eating folic acid. Unfortified brands are Foods Alive, Sari, S-A-R-I Foods, or Nooch. They're all unfortified. And then I am putting, again, turmeric. Turmeric goes in so many things for me because it's a no-brainer. It's so anti-inflammatory. So I have black pepper to couple with it. I have some smoked paprika, as if the liquid smoke wasn't enough. And then I have some garlic granules. And they're sticking here. It's always humid on the Oregon coast. Damp. Okay, and that's all there is to it. We're gonna mix those in. So we've mixed the spices through. This is my dehydrator tray. Now I said on this recipe that you can bake them. You can bake them, but you need to be eating them pretty quick, and they get crunchier after you get them out of the oven if you bake them. A dehydrator is the way to go with this recipe because they are so, they get crunchy and they stay crunchy. So I put this green silicone bag here so I would remember to tell you that I put some in my little silicone Ziploc, and I take them with me when I travel. When I'm on airplanes, they're always there because it's a nice protein, carb, delicious, crunchy snack. You can always get fruit in airports, but I get tired of sweets. Sometimes I want something savory, and here it is. So I'm just going to put these in the dehydrator for 8 to 12 hours and they're ready. And then they stay crunchy if you keep them airtight for weeks, just weeks. So I'm going to set this aside and show you what they look like when they're done. Here I have some. You can hear the crunch, can't you?
Wow, those are great. They like little croutons.
Exactly, and they would be good used like that. But I always take my little spoon in my little bag when I carry them on the airplane or something, or traveling in the car. And then I can just take my little spoon and can you hear the crunch?
Oh my God, you could probably make all different flavors too.
Oh, absolutely. Any way you like to spice them, you spice them. And so amazing. And the flavors are great. Doesn't need salt, doesn't need anything, just amazing flavor. And they don't taste hot, Chef AJ. So they taste just delicious. That hot sauce doesn't make them like scream at you. So I usually have a jar like this. Yes, this is huge because I never make just this small recipe. I make a huge amount. And so I take this jar and I fill it, and then I can have them ready to serve, put them out if you're playing cards, whatever. That's a great snack.
Yeah, that is a great idea. And I love my dehydrator. I've had it for probably almost 20 years. I have the Excalibur 9 tray.
Exactly what I have. And I have, actually, I got the one with the glass door. For years, I have the one with the front that wasn't glass. And now I have the glass door. And you know why I don't really like the glass door? Because you can see what's in there. If I have kale chips going or these Lentil Crunchies and I walk by the dehydrator and see it, it says to me, "Ooh, you could grab one of those." And I may not even be thinking about food. So
that's funny.
Yes. Anyways, I love the Excalibur because you can dial it up to 105 degrees and enzymes don't begin to die till something's about 112 degrees. So, and probably all the way dead by 118. So you can keep those raw.
That's
great. Yeah. So what I talked to you about the lentil effect, here we have our, if you get that too close, that steam's just going to hit the camera, I think. So here we have, this is boiling. It's not quite ready for our addition yet. So we're going to add the lentils when those are a little bit softer. So while we're waiting for that, I was going to tell you a little bit more about why lentils are great for blood sugar. Because what was originally called the lentil effect and will hold your blood sugar steady. So let's say I have lentils for supper tonight. It's amazing, but 11 hours later when I eat my breakfast, I won't spike as much because of the lentil effect, which is what they originally called it. Now they call it the second meal effect because what they've discovered is it's not just lentils, but other beans have that same wonderful effect. So that's why, you know, Dr. Furman, I know you've met him and talked to him, but he talks a lot about greens and beans, but that's why they're so powerful. The beans, especially when diabetes is a concern. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do exactly with Mastering Diabetes? Are you doing one-on-one coaching, small group coaching? What is your role with their wonderful
All of
program?
the above. I do one-on-one coaching, I do small group coaching, and I do large group coaching. And we have a private Facebook page where we guarantee that a coach will answer your question within 24 hours. And I'm on there several days a week as we share that duty. And we have, Chef AJ, we have an amazing team. I'm so honored to be part of it. You know that Cyrus and Robbie are great. You've met them. I mean, Cyrus, what a brilliant mind. And Robbie, what passion. And so for them to be at the helm, but the rest of the team, and you've met some of them, Adam, we all bring our unique gifts. Adam has an amazing story he brings to the table. And I'm gonna just turn these down a little. And then Wendy, having, you know, had type 1 diabetes for 25 years, is an amazing asset. I listen to her because type 1 is the type that I'm learning more about dealing with. I've worked with type 2 and pre-diabetes clients for years, but I'm learning the protocol more for type 1, and who better to learn from than Wendy Sullivan. So I just learn a lot from her. I mean, of course you can learn from Cyrus and Robbie, but I'm able to sit in on some of Wendy's small group coaching and just learn from her. And then we have another coach who started when I started, and she has her undergrad in biochemistry, and she has a master's degree in nutrition. She's had a lot of clinical experience, so she brings her unique gifts. And then I bring the experience of 2 decades of working with people. And so it's a great team. But the cool thing is, I don't know anywhere like Mastering Diabetes, because if you want personalized coaching, they will coach you. And if you do not get lower blood sugar, lower blood glucose, and lose weight, they will coach you for free until you do. What kind of guarantee is that, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's better than money back guarantee. There's a question from Ellen. Do you need to use any special water when you soak your lentils?
I always use pure water, because if you use your tap water, they're going to soak up whatever you soak them in. And we know there are so many chemicals in tap water, not to mention prescription drugs and ground contaminants. So I have filtered reverse osmosis water, and you can get pure water in any variety of ways, but I think it's smart to soak beans in pure water because they soak up such a volume of the water. But other than that, that's that.
Lauren says, I have a dehydrator function on my air fryer. Would that work? Because I have the Breville too, but I've never used it as a dehydrator.
I think it would, Lauren. I had an oven when I first moved into this house that would actually dehydrate. You just had to leave the door ajar a little bit, but it was kind of a pain because anytime, it was my regular oven, anytime you wanted to bake, you had to take your thing out of the dehydrator to preheat your oven. But I have a Breville that I love. It's right over there. And I use that a lot, but mine doesn't have dehydrator on it. That's really cool.
Yeah, mine does. I should try it sometime. But see, what I like about the Excalibur is I've got the 9 trays. And when I'm going to bother cranking up the dehydrator, I'm going to make sure it's full. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I've had mine overflowing, all 9 trays at once. And I'm like, oh, I can't put anything else in. But ours runs almost all the time, too, because we dehydrate all the time.
Yeah.
So.
And people are asking, when you sprout them, do you just leave them on the counter?
When I do what?
When you sprout your lentils, do you just leave them on the counter?
Yes. So let me just show you while these are boiling. Here are my soaked lentils. I have all stages. I take them and pour them out. And then I just rinse them every, at least every 8 to 12 hours, but, it usually takes 1 or 2 rinses. These are a little behind the ones I just did. I don't know if you can see, they have small sprouts on them, but yes. So that's that. And this is really going to town now. So I will say something, this red lentils are like my new favorite friend because they cook so fast.
And they're pretty, you know, they're a little bit prettier.
They are pretty. And, you know, while the recipes say that the other lentils cook in 30 minutes, 35, red lentils, or they're orange, actually cook so much faster. So you can buy a 16-ounce bag for this recipe, but because I buy 25-pound bags, I just put my strainer on the scale, zero it out, and I'm gonna pour in 16 ounces. I do it right in the strainer because then I'm just gonna rinse them. So I'm gonna put 16 ounces of lentils. They'll cook in 5 minutes, and we'll throw together our cool lentil salad while these are cooking. Okay, so that's 16 ounces of lentils. That gives your viewers an opportunity to see about what that looks like. So this is the small Pampered Chef strainer to give you perspective. And I'm just going to rinse those. So.
Does your family eat like you, Michelle?
Oh, absolutely. My daughter is actually a plant-based medical doctor.
You're kidding, where? And what kind?
She lives in Tucson, but she's an ultra runner too. So she runs like 100-mile trail races. So she does locums. And right now she's in Juneau, Alaska. She works there, like she works for a month or two, and then she has lots of time off. And she likes Juneau because there are a lot of good running trails. But yeah, so she's there now, and she and I took the journey together to plant-based. We worked at Hippocrates Health Institute together, and then she went on to college and medical school, and she's a family medicine doctor. She's going to get her little lifestyle medicine certification because that's where her heart is. But she also works at Indian reservation, or Native American Indian reservation in Arizona 1 week a month, and then she can run the other 3. So that's her passion. And then my son is eating more and more this way because he has some health challenges. He also has celiac disease. And my amazing husband, let me tell you, today is special because I met him in person 13 years ago today. And he was kind of the Atkins diet man, and my mom said, don't tell these men how you live, because I was single again in my 40s, and she thought I'd scare them all off, but not this man. So he is plant-based. Before we were even married, he was living on his own in Oregon while I was in Florida, and got off all his meds, cholesterol and blood pressure, the whole 9 yards. So he's amazing. He's my cameraman.
Oh, nice. Hey, maybe you could introduce me to your daughter. I'd love to interview her on the show.
Oh, she would absolutely love that. She's probably watching right now from Juneau because she's running a race tomorrow in the mountains in Alaska. So yes, I'd be glad to introduce you to her. She is an asset. She's amazing.
What's her name?
Brianna Grigsby. Okay. And you can find her on Instagram, Dr. Bree, the Running MD. That's her little name on Instagram. So I put the red lentils in. I put the water in. And we're going to let that boil. And that noise you're hearing, if you're hearing it, it's because I'm wearing a CGM. I know that some of your other guests talked about continuous glucose monitors, and though I don't have diabetes, I got the opportunity to wear one, and here it is on my arm. And I am monitoring my glucose just with a continuous monitor, just to help me help my clients. I'm just wearing it for a few days. I don't wear it all the time, but I'm wearing it because I wanted to get an idea. We have clients, when they go low, eat a date so they don't go too low. It's dangerous for blood sugar to go too low. So I wanted to try some experiments with it with myself and see what happened when I eat a date. And wow, I can say it's such a blessing to have not have the blood sugar concern, the blood glucose issues, but it's nice to just put yourself in their shoes and see what it's like. So
that's so cool. When I was a respiratory therapist, I used to have people suction me and give me blood gases so I could feel what they were feeling. Creates empathy, I think.
Right. I wanted to, be able to heartily recommend wearing or not wearing one based on having done it myself. So anyway, that's where I am right now. That's what noise you've heard in the background. It's telling me different things. Okay,
Wow.
so
Can I just read a comment from Dixie? This is Teresa. Michelle has been my coach here locally for 6 months. I've reversed fatty liver, type 2 diabetes, and lost 100 pounds. All of my CBC tests have improved to normal. That's a wonderful testimonial. And people are asking where the recipes are. Just look below the show notes on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, you can't see them. If you can't see them on YouTube, you probably just need to refresh your screen, because I add them after the show starts because I'm limited in characters beforehand. And Susanna says, do you weigh your vegetables before or after cooking? I weigh them before. Is that what you do, Michelle?
Well, it depends. Depends how I'm cooking them. So yeah, I try to eat a lot of them raw. And even with diabetes concerns, we have a saying at Mastering Diabetes, ARAP, as raw as possible. And so, Robbie's all raw. Cyrus is probably 70 to 80% raw. But yeah, a high volume of them raw is great. And so I found that at first it was hard, Chef AJ. I was like 2 pounds. Wow, I'm not eating that much. And now some days I have 2 pounds almost done at breakfast. So yeah, gets easier.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to get the salad ingredients and put that together while the lentils are cooking. This salad is so fun and so yummy. And I love Teresa's comment. You should see Teresa. Teresa's one of the local clients I was working with already before I started with Mastering Diabetes. And wow, she has really changed her life. But it's so exciting because anyone out there can change their life. It's just a matter of deciding you're going to do it. And so anybody out there who's listening, if you have diabetes and you want a coach, that's a pretty good guarantee. You could go to masteringdiabetes.org/apply. You fill in a little type form and you will get a call from one of our team members to match you with the kind of coaching that would be right for you. Okay. Now we are making this recipe called mango, grain, and lentil salad. This is very versatile because you can make it with any kind of grain. I'm using brown rice today because I batch prep brown rice and I have it. So I have organic brown rice and I have frozen mangoes. Even though it's mango season, this recipe works well with frozen mango chunks. My favorite fresh mangoes are these little yellow babies, and they are so good.
Are those the Alphonse? Are they called the Alphonse?
Yes, they are. And I've also heard them called champagne mangoes. I think they're one and the same. So they're delicious. And like I said, I decided since I work for Cyrus that I should do a mango recipe. So it's very convenient when you batch prep your grains one day a week. I am so busy with all my coaching duties during the week that on a weekend I batch prep and I always do some sort of grains. So we can pull them out and we stick them in that little Breville. I put a little bit of hot water with them and put them in that Breville and they're warm in no time and just as yummy as the first time. We have bowls a lot when I'm in a hurry. And so we've got our brown rice, 2 cups. We've got 2 cups of mangoes. This is easy to remember. And now these are those French green lentils. And if you have never tried them, I boiled these. And on the recipe, it says cook for 20 minutes. I didn't say how much water because I usually use extra water and drain them like you would pasta. So I put about 2.5 cups of water for that 1 cup. And it makes a little more than 2 cups. And so I have some extra that I can throw in a bowl. But if you haven't tried these, they're peppery tasting and they're better for salads because they hold together. I don't know if you can see, but they don't get mushy like the other kinds of lentils would. They're a little firmer and they have such an amazing, robust flavor.
I don't know if this is true, but Dr. Carrie Saunders, he's a plant-based doctor who I heard speak at Summerfest, said there's 18,000 different kinds of legumes. I'm wondering how many different kinds of lentils are there?
You know, I was looking for that kind of number. And what I found was basically these ones I have here and yellow. And so I thought that too, because I was teaching with Adam one night. And let me tell you, it's a privilege to work with these coaches because every time I coach along with one of them, I pick up little tidbits. But he was talking about how many varieties of sweet potatoes exist. It was well over 1,000. And I was like, whoa, you know, I knew there were a lot. And you know, Harvey Diamond said you could eat a different fruit every day for the rest of your life and not try them all. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, there are so many varieties. So before I throw the rest of the vegetables in here, I want to show you that when I'm making this recipe, I like to put the, in a perfect world, I would have already made the little sauce because the longer this garlic sits in that lime juice, you can imagine the more the flavor melds. But I wanted to do it in front of you because it's a real simple. This is a 1/4 cup of lime juice. And I'm putting my garlic in here. This is the Pampered Chef garlic press, which I love. They say you can't destroy one. This is my second. If anybody can, I can. And look what I'm using, Chef AJ.
Oh boy, my favorite. And you're going to get 2 more bottles just for being on the show.
Awesome. I know Thomas because I wholesale through him to my local clients. I have for a little while now, and we're all crazy about them. And every time he sends me some samples with my order, and guess what I buy next time? Whatever that sample was so amazing that I got to have that now.
Yeah, that's very smart marketing because a lot of times you don't want to, spend $10 on a bottle if you don't know if you're going to like the flavor. And without being able to go to an in-person show, you take a chance. And that's what's so great about being able to try 2 new flavors with every order.
Exactly. And then with my local clients, I have all these and I let them come over and taste them on popsicle sticks and they order them away. So it keeps the sales flowing. Okay, so I've got lime juice. I have the garlic. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of this. Now you say, Michelle, I don't have those California balsamics. Well, you'll have to visit their website. They're amazing. But if you don't have this, you can use any vinegar. You could use apple cider vinegar. But this is just like, oh, Chef AJ knows. This is the primo. And you see how thick it is? You can just use it as salad dressing. I love the ruby red for that.
I mean, they're so good. And there's over 30 varieties, so you never have to get bored.
I know. And I've never tried that dill one. I said, is this new? And they said, not really. So
I marinate cucumbers in the dill one, and I have like dill pickles. They're so good.
I so want to try that. So then I have chili powder and cumin. And I have onion granules and black pepper. And I love these little guys. I have these little whisks.
That's so cute.
Yes, I love kitchen stuff. Don't make me shop for clothes. My husband goes through the clothes racks and says, please try it on, Michelle. And then gonna come on Chef AJ and I'm like, oh shoot, I should have shopped for clothes, but I love kitchen stores.
Susan says, what Indian reservation does your daughter work at? She worked in White River.
That's exactly where she works, White River. Yep, White River. Okay, so here we go. Watch these beautiful colors. So we've got our mangoes and our lentils, and we're going to put these beautiful red peppers. Oh, and before I finish mixing this up, I'm going to throw my broccoli in here. Now, let me tell you about this red lentil curry. This red lentil curry is a recipe that is better tomorrow. And you can cook it and serve it like I'm going to now. In 5 minutes, I'm going to serve some up and show you. But it is so much better the next day because it gets thick and beautiful and even tastier. So I'm going to mix that broccoli in and then set my timer so I don't overcook it for about 5 minutes. And my son's in Colorado, so we get around. Okay, there we go. Timer. Okay, so back to these beautiful colors. Isn't my cameraman amazing? We have some green scallions. And then we have cilantro. Now, I know somebody out there hates cilantro because every class I teach, when I do the food demo, there's always, well, I ended, when I did my in-person classes for years, I always ended in the kitchen because it's powerful. My mom gave me this idea when I started my business in 2011. She said, you should give them tastes. And my dear mom, she has dementia right now. So she doesn't even know Michelle's on Chef AJ. I'm going to get teary. But anyways, it was the best idea because I ended every class in my kitchen, and people might, think they can't do this, but when they see me do it and I send them home with the recipe, they get so excited to go make it because they see it's not hard. I can do this. And that was a powerful piece of my coaching here locally that sadly I can't pass on except for like this through Mastering Diabetes. Okay, so our beautiful colors, and I'm going to just pour this lovely looking.
It's such a pretty salad.
Oh, it is gorgeous. And I wish you could taste it, although I know you can't eat lentils, but.
Oh, it looks so delicious. I mean, I could maybe put wild rice in there.
Oh, absolutely. You could totally make this without the lentils, and you could add more mangoes, or you could add tomatoes, or, the options are endless. But look how beautiful it is. Guess what we're having for lunch? Because it's only 11 a.m. here. And yeah, this is lunch, and I'm going to show you how I plate it up.
That's one of the reasons I like to do the show at 11, because then people can go right into their lunch when they make the food. They unless they're in a different time zone, they generally appreciate it because they just made their lunch on camera.
Right. And, I'm going to serve this on greens because greens are powerful. Greens, I say a day without greens is like a day without sunshine. But I serve everything over a bed of greens, and I start my day with greens because greens are profound in healing, but they're really great for diabetes concerns because they hold blood sugar steady. So when our clients start and they're trying to maintain blood sugar, they're making some big changes with their blood sugar. If they just add fruit with their greens, it's amazing the power of the greens. So we're serving this. And I started to say there's always cilantro haters. So you could make this with mint or basil. You wouldn't have to do cilantro. I like to put a couple of little cilantro accents on top. Food is art. And some fresh green onions. And isn't that beautiful?
It's gorgeous. It's restaurant beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful. And that is a huge amount too. And that's the other thing I like about the Mastering Diabetes program and plant-based eating, low fat in general. You don't have to do portion control. You can eat till you're satisfied, and it's perfectly fine. You know, you can maintain your weight right where you want it, eating till you're satisfied, and it's beautiful. And it's for a foodie like me, sitting down with some portion control never worked. I tried it for years, never worked. And sitting down with a big hearty plate of food works for me.
Yeah, I don't know very many people that can do weighing and measuring forever.
Oh, right, exactly. And you know, because sooner or later you're not getting the nutrients you need, you're not getting the volume you need to feel satisfied. Who could sustain that? And that's what's great about whole food plant-based living. It's a lifestyle, and I just love it. I mean, I came from sugar addicted and overweight, and I don't feel deprived at all. Every day I eat yummy things. I make treats that are whole food plant-based, low fat, and you know, I'm not missing anything but the sickness and the extra pounds.
You know, people say I feel so deprived. Yeah, you're going to deprive yourself of heart disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, cancer, those kind of things. You know, I would think maybe you could put a few of the lentil crunchies on the salad that you made.
Oh, you totally could, Chef AJ. We can do that. I'm flexible here. Yeah.
You guys are going to have a delicious lunch.
Oh, we are. And we're going to eat it on the back porch in the sunshine because we've got some sunshine on the Oregon coast today. Okay, the timer rang. So this is about done. Now you can see.
That is gorgeous. That is gorgeous.
It is. And you can take your cinnamon stick out, but I like to leave it in for the leftovers. And sometimes it's hard to find those cardamom pods. Sometimes if you do this, they'll come to the top. But guess what? You can eat cardamom pods. My daughter, the doctor, she says, "Oh, I never take them out, Mom. I like them."
That's cool.
So,
yeah. Hey, Stephanie says, what is the brand and the size of the pot that you're using?
This is actually an organic, and boy, I don't know how many quarts it is. I can't look on the bottom, but it's a nice sized Dutch oven that Organic made. Organic was one of the original ceramic coated non-sticks that was free of the chemicals. And so they've been around a long time. But I have other brands too. I love ceramic non-stick. It's great for no fat living. Right.
I have a similar looking pot to yours from Tupperware.
Oh.
Apple says, do you have a website?
Masteringdiabetes.org. I have a website from my previous business, yes, but I'm actually ramping that down because my passion was to work with people, not to do client acquisition and social media. You know what it is to run a business. So I'm ramping up my clientele with Mastering Diabetes and loving it. And I would never drop someone I'm working with, but I'm kind of tapering down on the local in my small community, and I will continue to walk those that were already working with me through. And so that's where I am. So I don't really, I'm here to represent Mastering Diabetes today.
Thank you. Rebecca says this is her first live watching. Thanks for all the information over the years. You're so welcome, and thank you for watching, and welcome to our Zoomunity. And I saw a question. What do you eat for breakfast?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
I eat usually one of two different things. I either have a whole grain with what I make is green milk. I know it sounds crazy. I think I made it up, but I get greens in everywhere, and I like teff. So I'll cook 1/3 of a cup of teff grain. It's Ethiopian grain, and I put green milk on it and flaxseed and a couple kinds of fruit, and then I have about usually 20 ounces of celery and jicama and pea pods. And I'd like to dip my celery into that. Or some days I have a green bowl and I make it with a green smoothie, but then I put fruit and flax on top, and I dip celery and jicama in that. And I'm a runner now. I was the girl that at 34 didn't do anything that made me sweat. And now I run. And when I get back from my run, I can't wait to eat. I can't wait to have my vegetables. So I start with usually a big bowl of pea pods while I shower. And so I have about 6 ounces of pea pods before I even start breakfast.
What is green milk?
Green milk is, you can put any kind of plant milk in your blender. Just use a cup. I use 4 ounces of greens and then a tad of vanilla and blend that up. And if you were blind, you wouldn't know it was green. And it's a way to get more greens into my day. So a lot of people do oats. As a celiac, I found I can't do oats. I react just like I do with a gluten grain. And my daughter, the doctor, also can't do oats. So
Interesting.
I use other grains.
I make milk out of zucchini and it's really good.
Oh, so tell me about yours, Chef AJ.
I mean, basically, I mean, you could probably do it in a blender, but I have the Nutri-Milk and I just put zucchini. And one day I was out of milk and I needed it for a baked recipe. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And it's good, actually. It's sweet.
So what do you put? Just the
Nothing, just
water?
zucchini. Just zucchini. Zucchini is so high in water, you don't need to add anything.
Oh, I love you. I'm trying that.
Let me know what you think. Yeah, I wish more people would try it. It's not as weird as it sounds.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can get vegetables in anywhere, right?
I agree. And especially if you need, like, let's say you need milk for a soup, instead of buying a box of milk, make zucchini milk, and then you're getting something creamy, but you're adding a lot more nutrition.
And I love that for our clients because we have this green light, yellow light, red light list. And since I don't have diabetes, it's okay if I do a plant milk. But, I don't do nut milks because I quit doing nuts and lost weight just like you. But when you're looking at this list, even an oat milk or soy milk, those are yellow light foods for them. So they could make your zucchini milk. I'm going to have to pass that.
Yeah, tell your diabetic clients, because I mean, you could even make a smoothie with it. It's not, because zucchini is so mild and neutral tasting. It's not like making milk out of kale. It's actually quite sweet. So Michelle, Karen says, I love the taste of balsamic vinegar, but have an allergic reaction when I have it. Any suggestions? First thing I would say, is it all balsamic vinegar? Because like, is it organic? Is it, I would, is it every single balsamic vinegar? Or that's what I would say. But and is it all vinegars? Maybe.
Yes, that's true, because, and it depends. You can be having a reaction to something like glyphosate in the growing process if it's not all. But, then there's dark balsamic and light balsamic. As we know, California balsamic has both. And I wonder if you're allergic to both of those. But you know what? If you are, there are so many vinegars. You've got coconut vinegar, red wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar is very healing. So, if you're not allergic to those, you still got some good stuff you can use. Okay, I'm going to plate up this last one, if that's okay, Chef AJ.
Yes, please do.
And this is our red lentil curry. And like I said, tomorrow it will be even, thicker, or if I let it cook longer today. But I always like to make it pretty by putting some broccoli. My husband says he's a broccaholic. So we have a lot of broccoli. You could use, it says on the recipe, you could put green beans in here. You could put anything in here for your vegetable. And then, where's my garnishes? I just thought
you could put more of the Lentil Crunchies on top.
Yes, I was going to say we could add, the more layers of texture you add, the better. But I'm adding some cilantro here too, because it'll be yummy, and some green onions. And I like to spread some on the plate. I love taking photographs of my food too. I am Plant Coach Michelle on Instagram. I just started there, and I don't have a lot of followers because I've done Facebook for years. So if you want to follow me on Instagram as Michelle with the Michelle that works at Mastering Diabetes, it's Plant Coach Michelle. And I have some pretty food there. Okay, so look at that beautiful food with lentils.
Oh. And when people say the plant-based diet is boring, I'm like, what are you talking about? So is this the portion she served for one person?
Yeah, and I might get seconds. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. I used to be overweight and dieting, and I out eat. I feel like I out eat most people that eat other ways that I eat with. I'm eating and they're done. But yeah, I eat till I'm satisfied. I don't stuff myself, but yeah, these are my size portions.
I know that's what I love. A woman who eats and is slender. I mean, people don't realize the possibility and the key is the low fat, which is what is taught in Mastering by Diabetes, and which is what I resonate with as well, which is why I've been able to become slender and so late in life and keep it off so easily, eating huge portions of food.
Exactly, because I was plant-based for years before I was low-fat plant-based, but I was into that nut drawer. We have a nut drawer over there for my husband eats more nuts than I do. And I was into that nut drawer too much and, too many avocados and things like that. And I did not realize how that was, really working against me. And what surprises me, we use Chronometer with Mastering Diabetes. So I started to use it just so I could help my clients. And when I put my food in there, it's amazing because I don't have to worry about my brain. I get fat from these good plant foods without adding any fat.
I know, it's incredible. Mine too, when I do it, it's like I can get up to 15% of my calories from fat, not eating any nuts, seeds, or avocado. There's fat in everything. And especially somebody struggling with diabetes or insulin sensitivity, the low fat approach that you guys teach, that I teach, it's unparalleled. And it's also excellent for weight loss and managing food addictions.
It sure is. And, I think there's just no better way to live, but that's me. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. This is a wonderful presentation. I hope you guys enjoy your lunch. Thank you, cameraman husband.
You're welcome.
Well, I can't wait to meet your daughter. I love that your whole family is healthy together.
It is great.
Yeah, well, this is a wonderful, thank you so much. And I'll be sure to put the link to your Instagram in the show notes so people can follow you there.
I'm not worried about that. I'd rather they have the link to Mastering Diabetes because, that's who can help them if they're diabetic. Right. And actually, I'm just full with personal clients, but I'll be able to take more personal clients by mid-August. And I have room in my small groups. So if anybody out there has diabetes and needs help, where can you go with a money back guarantee?
Nowhere. Well, definitely not to your regular doctor for the most part.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's so great getting to see your talent in the kitchen.
Oh, well, it was great to just spend some time with you. You've been an icon in my life,
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I love featuring new people like you that are just doing such great things and preparing such delicious, easy recipes.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, we're going to continue this tomorrow, everyone, with day 7 of Mastering Diabetes Week with Mark and Kim Ramirez. Mark is also one of the wonderful coaches of the Mastering Diabetes team, and he reversed his type 2 diabetes, and he's going to be making delicious recipes that are family friendly. Of course, these were very family friendly as well, and your family seems very friendly. Thanks so much, Michelle. Take care.
Thank you.